Casey Cares is proudly sponsored by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation, and we continue to bring you information and stories from a safe distance as we continue to deal with this pandemic. And thank goodness we did have some semblance of a baseball season. Our Kansas City Royals played this year, maybe didn't have the results that everybody had hoped for, but there's one thing for sure that's happened. And Royals Charities continue to do incredible work in our community. And we're so fortunate to have with us Amanda Grosdidier, who is the director of Royals Charities. Welcome, Amanda.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so great to see you.
Thanks.
It's
from home.
It's been a while, but well, nonetheless, we're just happy to see you and hear that Royals Charities is hanging in there. Let's go back a little bit and refresh our audience about Royals Charities and the connections with the Royals.
Yeah, so Royals Charities has always had a foundation, or the Royals have, which is Royals Charities. And our main focus is our 4 pillars, which is children, education, military families, and baseball and softball. So that's kind of been our passion, to reach our fan base and to use our voice to give back to the community as much as we can.
How do you do that?
Yeah, so before it was raising funds throughout the season until this year, since we weren't able to raise as much through the season, we had to find creative ways like most nonprofits. And then everything raised in Royals Charities goes back to the community through our 2 grant cycles, which are normally in the spring and the fall. But this year with COVID, we created the Royals Respond Fund to help focus on the needs, the immediate needs of our city and local nonprofits. First being food insecurity, and then shifting to the virtual education to make sure that all kids are able to learn, whether it's at home or at school, and has all the means and needs that they need in order to get through it.
Can you walk us through a little bit what it was like as all this shaped up? Because this came in a fury in late February and March, and that's prime, warm up, get going, baseball's coming.
Yeah, so March 16th is when we closed our offices for associates. And then instantly, with our new ownership group, as well as investors, all of them instantly wanted to get involved and do something for our community because they're all Kansas City based. So it was so great to watch that leadership group come together and do everything that they could to give back, because they really care about the city. So we created the Royals Respond Fund within a week or 2, and we're able to kick it off with 500,000 meals to harvesters. And then we kept going from there, partnering with local pantries, organizations, childcare, just to make sure they had the food that they need for the families that had to keep going to work, for the families that were at home no longer receiving lunches from schools, and then just for people that have lost their jobs or may have been furloughed, just to make sure that everyone was kind of in a good place. As much as we could, we wanted to help.
Nitty gritty, who's in the room? What did you do? I mean, how did you all sprung into action very quickly? And I think it'd be helpful for others to hear how you were able to do that.
Well, John Sherman, who's our new owner, him and his family and their family foundation were very involved from the beginning, as well as all of our investors. I think all of them contributed and helped and went out of their way to, get in, pitch in, not just making a one-time, fiscal donation. They wanted to be there and be on the ground to be able to help, to keep it going, to make it a long-term impact and not just a one-time, here we helped. I think we have a great group to learn from. Dayton Moore is somebody too that's been in the community nonstop since he's been here and wanted to give back, and instilled that in all of us. So I think from our associates volunteering to our vice presidents to our senior advisors, everybody wanted to get involved to make sure that they could help and make a difference and use our voice through social media, with simple steps of washing your hands, things that we all heard a lot at the beginning, but were important and crucial for all of us. Getting our players involved who were all expecting to get ready for a season, and then last second, all at home with their families. So doing cute videos with them and letting us get a personal glimpse inside their lives and how they're interacting and handling all this. So it was a fun, creative way. And our social media team was phenomenal in creating fun, interesting things for people to do at home.
You've not really been out at the stadium, though. We should let everybody know you were doing this from the Kaufman brain trust. You
Yeah,
all
so
just,
yeah, a lot of us were working from home and a lot of us were doing it with kids. I have two really young kids at home, so trying to fit in all these calls and Zoom calls with two little ones running around, as well as, trying to make a lasting impact and talk to donors and nonprofits who are going through some of the hardest times that they could be going through, but wanting to be there and hear what the actual need was and how we can help. Like you said, we haven't been at the stadium up until about 2 or 3 months ago. I started going back 2 days a week. But before that, we tried to keep as limited amount of people going there just because we wanted to get the games in. We wanted to keep our players safe. Everyone that needed to be there to make sure that the games happened.
so how did you pull together your team with Royals Charities? How, as a leader, did you focus on that?
We have a great team. So we have our charity and our community department, and we all work great together, both trying to do stuff out in the community with our community side, and then our charity side, trying to do as much as we can with financial donations. We did a lot of drives. We partnered with harvesters and hosted two food drives at the stadium. One, we did registering to vote too, because we want everyone to know that it's important to use your voice. So we had everybody that came through. We partnered with the Chiefs, United Way, just to get everyone to come out to get some food through harvesters and their 16 county reach, as well as registering to vote that day, both in Kansas and Missouri. And then we did a produce distribution out at the Kansas City Urban Youth Academy, which has been doing phenomenal things throughout this whole entire pandemic as well. They're hosting virtual learners right now, so giving kids a safe space to come in and learn, as well as giving out food to the community and hosting regular clinics to keep kids active and playing baseball.
Is the urban group still continuing right now, even though we're not in, quote, baseball season?
Yes, they're following all protocols that they need, but the Kansas City Urban Youth Academy has been up and running through this pandemic, yes.
How do you, as a charitable organization, make these decisions on who you're going to help? As you know, the need is so great and even made even greater with the pandemic. So how do you do that?
Yeah, it's a tough call because there's a lot of nonprofits in Kansas City, a lot that need help. And especially right now with COVID, we use a lot of our partnerships with groups that we know. So there's a lot of people that we collaborate with, other family foundations, just to kind of get their insight and talk amongst each other to figure out what's the best group to work with and what's the best way. Currently we have two grant opportunities in the spring and the fall. In 2021, we will be moving to one fall grant deadline instead of two, just to be able to raise the funds through the season and then give them back out. It's hard kind of to do the two when we're raising most of our funds with the season and kind of throughout the year. So it's a hard decision, but we have a great board and we have a lot of leaders and we have a lot of people that want to get involved. And there's so many good people in Kansas City that we're able to work with.
So is it the overall Royals board, or do you have a separate board for the charity?
Yeah, Royals Charities is its own nonprofit. It's its own 501c3. So we have a separate board. It consists of our owners and our ownership group, as well as some internal employees too.
Okay. And what is the main way that you are raising funds? It's out at the ballpark?
Yeah, and event driven. We're a nonprofit that's very event driven. So we usually host 5 events a year. This year, a lot of them went virtual, like most nonprofits had to experience. So we had a golf tournament, which didn't end up being an actual golf tournament because it was set in the middle of summer. And then we have Diamond of Dreams, which is our big gala on the field, as well as a 5K that we switched to virtual. We have a broadcast auction that Fox Sports is phenomenal with that helps us put it on their broadcast during a game, and we auctioned off this year some fun favorite baskets of the players. So their wives put together baskets of their favorite things: restaurants, food, snacks, autographed items, weighted blankets, kind of anything that was specific to that player, which was really fun for fans to get to know the players outside of just how they play on the field.
And how
also,
did,
sorry.
No,
Also
go
this
ahead.
year, also this year, the biggest way that we stayed to be able to do what we did is we have incredible partners. Blue Cross and Blue Shield and Price Chopper instantly jumped in at the beginning of Royals Respond for us, and we're able to seed the fund for us to give out grants and help the community right from the beginning.
how did you come out this year so far? We're not done with the year, obviously. What have you seen with fundraising?
We've had a decent year. It's a lot of fundraising wasn't event driven for us. It was going to our longtime sponsors, donors, investors, and getting, their input and how they want to help, and using that to help give back to the community. So overall, we've, been able to make a lot of impact through grants. So far, we've given out 16 large grants through our Royals Respond. We've helped serve multiple families with food. We've hosted 3 food distributions as well as a produce distribution. We've created masks, given out food from the stadium, because we were getting ready to have a season. So Airmark had food that they were prepping to have for all these fans, and Airmark was phenomenal in getting that out right away to shelters and places that could use it, instead of keeping it, not knowing where the season was going to go. And luckily, we were able to have a great season.
But with the lack of fans in the stadium, I know you have raffle and things like that. Have you seen that impact in your core funding?
Yeah, so we kept the raffle going. Instead of doing it every home game, since we weren't having home games with fans, we did it through the home stand, and we did keep the raffle live. We used it to help benefit our Royals Respond Fund, so that all the funds raised were able to give out. We definitely saw a decrease just because we don't have that connection with our fans, which is normally how people buy tickets, but we still offered it online. This was the first year we were able to get it to Kansas. Before, it was just Missouri fans, but luckily we got that in right before the season to where our Kansas residents were able to participate.
That's great. Did you ever envision in your job all these things you'd have to do?
No, I do think, and I've talked to a lot of other partners, that the one really nice thing about all this is it's challenged us creatively on what we need to do, and made us collaborate with people we maybe not have collaborated with before. So I think there's a lot of benefits. It's really sad to say that, because so many sad things came out of this, with the workforce, as well as, people struggling. So I do think there's good things that we can look at from this, and the things that we've learned and are able to grow and change and build on. So I'm trying to take that out as a good thing this year.
Anything that comes to mind that you're going to keep and expand?
Ooh, that's a good one. I do know
it's okay. It's okay if you don't have an answer. I just thought, was there anything that really popped out that you said, yeah, we had to do this, but.
Yeah. So Megan is on my team with Royals Charities, and she's the one that came up with the favorite things baskets, as well as this partnership with Hellsberg for these. You had a chance for a mystery bag that had diamonds in them, or watches, any kind of fun thing. Every bag was valued over $100, and they only cost $100 for a bag. And then the most being $2,800 diamond earrings. So that, as well as the wives bags, baskets that we created, the favorite things, I think that's something we can build upon. It was so fun to see the wives get involved and then learn things about the players that we did not know. Like Barlow's basket might have been my favorite. Just having the cast iron pans in his cookbook, because he's a hunter and he likes to be outdoors, and getting to see that and feel that was very interesting for us. And I think it's great for fans too.
Well, maybe there needs to be a Royals Wives or a Royals cookbook. What do they eat off the field? There you go. We know that Bobby is strategic in making those magical music for them. So there you go. Tell us a little bit about your journey to the Royals. How did you start with the organization?
Yeah, so I went to Emporia State University, and my job focus was in psychology and business. So I got 2 degrees. And I always wanted to work in nonprofits, but I always just assumed that was more volunteering and just something I would do on the side for fun. My first job out of college was at Tiffany and Company. I helped them with events. And then I was able to work on the first Diamond of Dreams on the field at Kauffman Stadium, which then led into an internship that I took, and it led into a career. So it was all a bunch of luck and learning and figuring things out and meeting great people that landed me where I'm at.
What would you say to a student at Emporia or anywhere else that was helpful to you in looking at coming into the nonprofit world, but in the sports world?
Yeah, I would always encourage people to volunteer. I'm very passionate about volunteering. I think it's great for our community. It's great for building relationships, but most of all, for your career path, you meet so many people along the way, and it opens so many doors, and you see so many different things you wouldn't have seen before. So volunteering is definitely something I would recommend.
And are there volunteer opportunities through Royals Charities? Albeit I know we're in a pandemic at the moment, but
Yeah, we definitely have volunteer opportunities. You can go to royals.com/volunteer. We use them at a lot of our events. So for the 5K, we need them throughout the course and encouraging people. We have them come to the games to help with giveaways at the stadium, not this year, but hopefully next season. And then also food distributions, other things that we host. We love to have our fans come to be voices for both the Royals Charities, and our fan base. So we can talk to them, see what they're interested in, seeing if we're meeting what they want us to do, if they have different interests or would, want to advise us to go somewhere else. So it's a great collaboration for us to work with our fans and then get them involved in the city as well as with us.
so as we're sitting here in the latter half of the year, are there opportunities for volunteers? Are you going to be doing more food distribution or things like that?
And we just finished a blood drive at the stadium, and we just had a food distribution a couple weeks ago. Right now, we don't have something scheduled. We are working on a voter registration push. Now that voter registration's over, we're going to have an opportunity, hopefully, to have fans come in and vote. So with that, there might be opportunities.
Well, that's exciting. So interesting to me that our sports teams have gotten behind the whole vote initiative. How did the Royals and Royals Charities get pulled into that? What drove that? Was it player driven, owner driven?
It's actually both. Our players are passionate about it. Our ownership group is very passionate about it, as well as our associates. We have an Inclusion and Diversity Council at our stadium, and they all work together. And this is something that they were passionate about, is letting everyone know they have the right to vote, letting associates know how important it was, telling them about being poll workers, how they can get involved, what they need to know, how to look up ballots, things like that. So it came from internally, but then also from seeing it in our community, the importance of what our community is saying that it is, and hearing our community speak and the voices of different nonprofits getting behind it.
And again, given where we are in the year, what goes on for you at this time of the year? And in a usual season, hopefully we would have been in the playoffs, but now with everything that's going on, what happens for Royals Charities?
Usually this is a planning time for us and a grant time for us. We'd be going through grants since our grant deadline was October 1st. With the shift this year, our grant season looks totally different since we did most of our funds throughout the year for the pandemic, for food insecurity, as well as education. Working with Turn the Page KC and School Smarts KC, helping with the virtual learning for kids and providing hotspots as well as electronic devices. So a lot of our funding that would have been usually here for our fall grant cycle has shifted. We are doing a lot of planning for 2021, but also staying active with our Let's Vote campaign, as well as trying to do as much as we can with the pandemic is still helping nonprofits.
So can you give us any peek at what we might see coming up in 2021?
I think there's going to be change in a good way. We want to be more active. So a lot of our grants before have just been grants to nonprofits, which are doing incredible things, and they're the experts. So we want to always value that and be able to partner with them, but being more involved with them, getting more out in the community. Hopefully, this is all COVID pandemic. So we want to make sure that we're doing what is best and what is right, but trying to be out in the community more, both as a team, as associates, as volunteers, and as fans.
What's been the greatest challenge or challenges this year? And you can elaborate.
I think the adjustment that every parent or somebody trying to work from home is doing. So trying to be active in your job as well as being a parent, being an educator. I have so much respect for educators and teachers. I can't even begin to explain that as a mom and as attempting to teach this past spring. So trying to value that and value your time at home as well as work. So being able to be in multiple places at once. I would say that's the biggest challenge that I oversaw for a foundation. Our biggest challenge would definitely be relying so heavily on events and on fundraising through a season, and then having to shift and adjust and pivot to figure out, like, how are we going to do this to still be able to make an impact in our community and raise as much as we can. So I think our team did a really good job of being able to raise those funds and talking to donors and adjusting to everything online, but there's always stuff we can learn and make notes for and then change and adjust to next year.
Like meeting with your staff over Zoom or anything like that, you know, and actually seeing your staff, you know, maybe in person with masks.
Yes, it's definitely a feeling of like wanting to see that smile again, of your associates, your people you work with every day, and having that warm smile. And then you see them when you go into the office and it's a mask. So you miss that comforting smile, that welcoming tone that you get that you no longer get to see.
Have the charities worked with some of these educational nonprofits, like really boots on the ground, and I just use that as a term, of getting into curriculum or ideas with them?
Royals Charities has not specifically, but Turn the Page KC is a great collaboration that we started for the first time this year. They've been great partners because they switched to the virtual learning, and then our Kansas City Urban Youth Academy added that. So it was something that wasn't on the radar to work with Turn the Page KC. They were kind of on, they always had this after school programming and stuff that they were doing in the community, but this was an adjustment that they made that they're doing a phenomenal job. The last I heard, they had 33 kids. It might be more than that now, but those kids are coming there, they're learning, they're doing drills, they're getting life skills advice, learning life skills. There's so many things that they're doing that is an opportunity that could have been missed, that they jumped on and elaborated and made our partnership with Turn the Page KC even better.
What, and did they come to you? How did that marriage happen?
Turn the Page KC reached out to us for a grant, and then we've always had a close relationship with the Kansas City Urban Youth Academy. So when I was reviewing the grant, I reached out to them, and they were kind of already down the page of working on something else. But once they heard this collaboration, it was a good joint relationship kind of for all of us.
That's great. That's great. That's what it's about, collaboration and all of that. Now, you said in 2021 you're going to move to a once a year grant cycle.
Correct.
Do you think you're going to be slammed because it's once a year?
I feel like it is that way now, just because we have spring and fall, and a lot of our grant people that apply are the same ones. So I think this will give us more opportunity to promote what we have, and then let more people join and apply throughout the season or throughout the year, but just having it end in the fall so that we know kind of where our budgeting is and our funding is. So if something like this were to ever happen again, we know exactly where we're at. Just because this year was different for everyone and you had to adjust and figure it out, I think this would help us. It's something we've always been wanting to do, and our new ownership group's excited about. So I think it's going to be a great adjustment for us.
Yeah, let's talk about budget. How the heck do you budget this year?
Yeah,
and what have you done creatively? Because I know you're all creative.
Yeah. We're very fortunate because no salaries come out of our foundation. Everything that we raise, we give back out into the community. So everything we're raising, we're going out to do good with. So that's been one very nice thing for us, but it's challenged us even harder because it's that feeling in your stomach, like we are able to do so much and we just want to keep doing more. So our team has been researching with other teams. We collaborate with other Major League Baseball teams as well as other sports teams here in the city and throughout the country, of trying to see what they're doing, different options that they have, as well as talking to local nonprofits. I'm sure you've been on all those Zoom calls with every nonprofit, getting together and talking about different opportunities, things that they're doing, how they're adjusting. So a lot of collaboration, which is a great thing.
As a director of the organization, how have you tried to keep your team going and motivated?
Yeah, that is, I think, a challenge for a lot, just because the new environments that everybody is in. I have a great team that's self-motivated, so that definitely helps out. try to meet on Zoom a couple times a week. We text, we call. We also try to like keep our days to focusing kind of on what the need is at hand, because you can look forward so much and it can be kind of daunting just with the unknowns. So just kind of keeping that communication open, being there for each other, trying to make light of things sometimes when it can be tough. So I think there's just a multiple ways that we're just trying to help each other out.
What do you like best about heading Royals Charities?
Oh, the feeling. I think it's such a great opportunity, and there's still more opportunity out there to be able to use our voice and our platform to do good. The partnerships that we make, the voices that we help give some of our players. A lot of our players are very charitable on their own, so it's definitely not that we're doing it, but being able to help enhance what they're doing. So if they want to make a donation, like the Montgomerys this year went above and beyond. Stephanie and Mike, they wrote a book and they are giving back to so many children's charities, but being able to enhance that for them to help get them what they need to introduce them to the right nonprofits in Kansas City, because they're not here. So being able to make those connections and get them out there.
That's got to be a little bit of a challenge when they're not here.
Yeah.
But hey, we're all Zooming, we're all calling, we're all, thank goodness for technology. We've often said, can you imagine being in a pandemic and not having all this?
Mm-hmm. So we're blessed with our players. I'm sure you've heard that in multiple interviews by people at the Royals, but we're very blessed by our players. It's instilled in them early on. And then they also come from great families to where a lot of them just want to give back and want to be involved and have the passion for Kansas City. So it's a great feeling to be able to work with that.
What are you most looking forward to next season?
A season to be able to watch baseball. I can't wait to be in a stadium with fans again. I'm sure everyone feels the same. You just want that feeling of seeing and being around baseball. It's just a breath of fresh air.
I wanted to go back to something you mentioned, that you talk with other ball clubs and maybe their charitable organizations that are affiliated. Is it unusual in the MLB to have a charity like Royals Charities? Do most clubs have some kind of foundation associated?
Almost all clubs have a foundation. Some have just a community department, but most of them have a charitable foundation. And we talk once a month. All of us collaborate kind of on where we are, what we're doing. We usually have a meeting once a year where we all get together and kind of meet and collaborate on either foundation stuff or community, but this year will probably be different. But it is nice to hear what works in some markets and what doesn't in others, and then how we can enhance or what they've tried that doesn't work. So it's nice to have that collaboration, because running a 50-50 in a stadium, when we started that, it was just tickets, tearing tickets, selling 50 tickets, having volunteers come, and then slowly being able to vet companies to come in and be able to do it. It was so nice to be able to rely on those teams of like, what experiences have you had? What doesn't work? And we were one of the first teams to kind of bring it in. We pivoted a lot off the Chicago White Sox. So to be able to work with them on what worked for them, and then be able to bring it to our stadium to work with our fans who are different but the same, and make it part of the baseball experience.
Well, Royals fans are always special. We're unique, of course. And I didn't want to forget to mention that Royals Charities, since your founding, you've put more than $18 million back into the Kansas City community. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That means so much. And the fact that the Royals are committed to the community, of course, of bringing great baseball, but really making a difference in the community. So kudos to you. One more time, give us the website so folks want to go and check out all the great stuff you're doing, want to get involved, be engaged.
Royals.com/Royals Charities.
Amanda, thank you for everything. And thanks for taking time to chat with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to Casey Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're produced by Charitable Communications, and we're proudly sponsored by the Ewing Marion Kaufman Foundation. If you'd like to be a guest on Casey Cares like Amanda, or underwriting opportunities, please visit caseycaresonline.org. And you can spread the love and find us on Facebook and Twitter at Casey Cares Radio, and on Instagram at Casey Cares Online. Thank you for listening to Casey Cares. Be well.